And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Across our beloved Kyber Empire, you're watching Arnold HoloNet News. The only news you'll ever need, because you have no other choice. Our video gaming division here in the Kyber Empire has fresh news off the press in regards to one of the big games out there, Marvel Snap, where buffs aren't coming except the one character, but nerfs are running galore. Thanos nerfs, Shuri, oh geez, Red Skull nerfs, Taskmaster nerfs. There's a couple of indirect buffs, and especially to one of your favorite cards and mine. We've been asking for this buff for a long time now. We got a Leech buff. I'm serious, Leech got a freaking buff! And they nerfed some weird things that I didn't think were a problem. I think they went really hard on a lot of stuff. Oh gosh, well, I guess let's do what I do best, and that's read. Let's go read this together, y'all, and showcase what they did with the recent patch notes. Now, a couple neat things that happened. If the game updated for you, you'll be seeing that now you can get your free Series 3 card. Every single month you get one free Series 3 card. Kind of works like the collector token shop, where a card's gonna randomize in there from Series 3 that you don't have. So again, kind of helping you get cards that you wanna get that are a little elusive and try to become a little faster in terms of pool 3 complete. Also getting some more tokens. Players who have not yet finished Series 3 will now earn 4 times more tokens. That's also a positive change. And now the token shop will only have Series 4, Series 5, and Ultimate variants. I know this is a little controversial with not having Series 3 in the token shop anymore. Now, I was always of the opinion I didn't really like using my token when I was starting. I didn't want to use my collector tokens on Series 3. I accidentally did, unknowingly. Kind of regret it because over time, you're going to get all the pool 3 cards. You might want to try to get more of those elusive pool 4, pool 5 cards. So I kind of understand the change, but I still think it's important to give people that flexibility. If they want to make that decision, they have that decision. Now that decision's taken away from them. Even though it's something I wouldn't do, I can see the reasoning why some people might want to try to get, well, maybe wanted to get Arrow or Shuri and stuff like that. So let's keep moving on. We already talked about the series drop that's coming. Not the most interesting series drop, but there's a couple interesting cards. Sabu, Sauron, Shana, Dazzler, Shadow King coming down from Series 5 to Series 4. May highlight Zabu. Zabu is still very playable. They took me to Infinite this past season. Sauron's okay. I think they're kind of not as needed if you're going to run 0 in a particular deck. Then Shanna, Dazzler, Shadow King. You haven't really seen anything amazing yet. Nothing too impressive. Then coming down from Series 4 to Series 3, M'Baku, Orca, Atuma. Nothing all that important with this series job. I'm guessing the next one's going to probably be really, really nice. Some new sound effects coming for Thanos, Nimrod, Master Mold, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which is coming out, I believe, later on today, right, Gary? And if that happens, we'll be doing a live stream testing with this brand new card. Some sound effects for Morag, Bar, Sinister. All right. We have a new visual effects for Thanos, but Thanos is getting a bit of a nerf. Hey, but at least you can see some pretty animations. Now they're going to have a virtual effect where you're going to see all the Infinity Stones in place. So it's better than what they had before. I believe they showed a little sneak peek on Twitter a while ago. But anyways, we want to talk about this here. Speaking of Thanos, yeah, some Infinity Stone nerfs. Definitely he's taking a hit. He's taking a hit in a few regards. In regards to Quinjet, in regards to the Space Stone, and in regards to their power. Again, the power of Thanos was in the stones itself. It's cool that Thanos went from a 6/8 to 6/1, but still, most weren't playing Thanos. I mean, he was getting a little bit more play than before, but now they're knocking him down from 6'11 to 6'10. We're gonna move beyond. I don't think that's really that important. What's really important is talking about the Space Stone. This is where the real nerves start kicking in. So Space Stone was one of the more powerful busted things. Basically, it was turning into a factory line for Lockjaw. So when you play Space Stone Ghost, it gets sent into Lockjaw. You pull out something big like Devil Dino or Infinite. You can then move it out of the way, clearing up the space for Lockjaw, and then starting the process again where you're throwing something down. Maybe you got the Space Stone again. You throw down the Space Stone, and you kind of kept freeing up the space for Lockjaw to have the real estate. Or it's very helpful getting into those Sanctum Sanctorums, the flooded areas that are normally difficult to get into, vaults. Now they're taking that away, and they basically turned the Space Stone into a cloak. Here's what they said about this. Space Stone on reveal. Next turn, you can move one card at this location, draw a card. Now it's being moved to next turn, you can move one card to this location. You get to still draw a card. So it's acting like cloak. So, I mean, there's still ways to make advancements. So let's say a zone gets flooded, you can quickly throw in a Space Stone, and then you can move a card into the flooded area next turn. So There's still things you can do, or you put a Space Stone into Volt and then you can try to bring a card over. So there's still ways to utilize it so it's still powerful, but it's nowhere near as powerful as before. Their reasoning behind this is among the strongest stones in Thanos decks due to its ability to create bonus lockjaw triggers and disguise where strong cards might move. This change reduces its efficacy with lockjaw by removing the incentive to play Space Stone itself for a lockjaw trigger, flattening the number of bonus trigger opportunities for lockjaw and restricting the strategic options for late game movement. We expect this to reduce tactical flexibility of Thanos decks and make them more fun to play against. Time will tell. The other nerf to Thanos was Quinjet. I think they went a little too hard on Quinjet. They nerfed Quinjet with Thanos being at the forefront, and it makes sense what they did. Now they're making everything, you can't have a zero cost card. But as a result, that's going to hurt some other decks that are out there. Let's go ahead and read what they said here. So now Quinjet now reduces cost to minimum 1. So it's basically like Zabu. Zabu can't go lower than 1. So it's kind of in line with those type of things. What the developers said here, cost reduction is powerful, and Quinjet was one of the very few cards capable of reducing multiple cards' energy cost to 0. While we've enjoyed this interaction in some cases, such as the Hood's Demon, ultimately creates both an ongoing risk for future design space as well as fueling the dominant Thanos decks today. This change should be a meaningful net reduction in strength to Thanos decks across the board. So yeah, I think Quinjet probably got completely removed from this. The whole point of playing Quinjet was to play free stones. You can't play free stones anymore, but as a result, although Thanos was the focal point, that's going to hurt other decks that like to utilize it. So Moon Girl, not as fun to play with Quinjet. One of the things with Moon Girl is you could try to play a free She-Hulk at the very end, which, by the way, she got nerfed too. Kind of somewhat, I don't know, like where's the buffs? Like nerfs. All the buffs are kind of between the lines, as we'll try to describe as we move on here. All right, I don't know. Yeah, the Quinjet thing was a little too harsh, I think. Developer comments on the next thing that we have here in regards to Red Skull. This is kind of a buff, sort of, but it's a nerf if you run Red Skull with Shuri, which a lot of people are. So before, it was a 5 cost, 15 power, with the ongoing effect of enemy cards at this location have +2 powers. Now, it's going from 5 cost to 13 power. Still pretty good, but they buffed his ongoing effect to be better for you if you're playing it. So enemy cards at this location have +1 power. So in a way, if you're not playing like Sauron or Zero, this is kind of a buff for Red Skull. It's going to be a nerf when you run it with Shuri, where when you double it, instead of 30 power, it's 26 power. Still pretty gnarly. The nerf to the Shuri Red Skull deck isn't here. It's going to come with the Taskmaster changes, as we're going to be indicating here in a few short moments, which I think is kind of makes sense, but we'll get there when we get there. So in a way, if you're not running Shuri, you're going to probably enjoy this, because really, no one really cared much about the ongoing effect when you're doubling its power. Cool, let them get their +8 power. I'm running 30 plus power Red Skulls, maybe even more if you got Shuri to multiply their effect. This change singularly aimed at reducing the strength of combining Red Skull, Shuri, and Taskmaster. Shuri turn 4, Red Skull turn 5, turn 6, Taskmaster. Outside those interactions, this change is mostly a buff to the base case usage for Red Skull, as we said, giving you 9 or 10 power at crowded locations rather than 7 or 9, so it's a buff. She-Hulk, I wasn't expecting this. Again, it's funny when she's a high series card, we don't nerf her, but now she's more accessible. Oh, we got to nerf. This always bothered me. Always bothered me. Those who are early adopters, they get to enjoy the full broken benefits, and when you guys get it, oh, we got to nerf it. It's a little annoying, I think. She-Hulk going from a 6'10 to 6'9, so very minor knock on them. She-Hulk is a key component to the strongest Shuri decks, but it sees widespread play in various decks thanks to its strengths alongside Sunspot, Wave, and Moon Girl. We most think that it's cool, but that she's more powerful than she needs to be for those combos. In addition, we want to encourage playing actively to locations rather than holding cards for explosive turn 6, so we're continuing to weaken a few of the best cards for the latter. I don't know. I mean, if someone wants to skip out on turn 5, what's the counter to that? Leech. Leech just hits everything. So I don't know. Isn't that what, like Leech, I get there's supposed to be a turn 5 card. So if someone wants to hold off for a massive turn 6 play, you Leech him. So it feels like this is kind of a little unnecessary, especially with the Quinjet changes and obviously Moon Girl as a result of that. I don't know. I'm not too crazy with the She-Hulk nerf. Arrow, though, this is going to be controversial. On reveal, before she would just move everything. Now, this basically was a card where if you were winning going into turn 6, 2 zones, you play Arrow, you're golden. It's basically, it seals the deal. Very difficult to outpace an Arrow and outmaneuver her. For me, if I see myself losing at 2 locations, someone snaps at me going to turn 6, I know they have Arrow, I'm leaving, and I've done that to other people as well. So Arrow's kind of the seal the deal type of card. That's no longer the case. Not to say she's going to be completely irrelevant like Leader, but she's not going to be as amazing as she was before. Nowhere near as plug and play viable as before. So now when you play Arrow, she got a buff from to 5/7 to 5/8, so now she gets a little bit of extra power. On reveal, move the last enemy card played this turn to this location. I thought all they needed to do was move the cards that you played in order. So if you play, let's say, let's just, I don't know, just throw some random cards. Let's say you play Wasp, Yellow Jacket, and then, I don't know, give me ShangChi. I don't know, just for the sake of the conversation. I thought, if anything, if they're going to make changes there, have it where she can only move the cards in the order they were played. So they would play it in order rather than randomly. So there's a bit more predictability in regards to how you could potentially counter an Arrow play. They just went all balls to the wall here, and they just only let her move 1 card. So basically a Polaris. So yeah, she's not gonna be this amazing plug and play, but I think she's still gonna be nice in a Salmon deck. Arrow already sees play in a Salmon deck, and you only can play 1 card in a Salmon deck. So it still kind of works in that regard, where if you're winning 2 zones of the Sandman, you know they only can play 1 card. You arrow the card into the zone that they're winning, so you can seal the deal. It's just not gonna be the plug and play queen that she once was. And here's what they say. Arrow's a tricky card for us. The actual game balance for Arrow has been healthy, and she fulfills a vital role in our game by providing interaction, especially against dangerously polarizing cards like Galactus. And that's another thing too. Now you can counter, Arrow's the biggest counter to Galactus. Well, now you can play, let's say, Yellow Jacket, it's a 0 cost card, and you play Galactus afterwards. Which, by the way, Galactus kind of got buffed. If when you read between the lines, we'll talk about. Now it's gonna be very easy to get Galactus up there, which kind of makes me happy. I'm a Galactus ganger for life. I basically made the Galactus meta. Let's not get too bogged down in the details here. Anyways, moving on. It's important for Arrow to be versatile and strong in order to be widely playable tech card. But we don't want her pushing the majority of the other 5-cost cards out of decks. Unfortunately, that's the behavior we're seeing. It's like that for a lot of stuff. Why run X, Y, or Z when Arrow's the best card? You throw Arrow, and that's kind of a similar problem we're having with the 1-cost. Like, why play a lot of these 1-cost cards when Sunspot is the best 1-cost card in the game? Arrow can be frustrating to see, denying players the option to play their own end games. This change seeks to keep Arrow strong where she's needed to foster more competition among 5-cost cards and adds counterplay to make her more fun. So again, I'm expecting this to be still very viable in the Salmon deck, but she's not gonna be the plug-and-play queen like she once was. Here's where we're gonna see the real nerf to the Shuri Red Skull. I'm happy they didn't mess up Shuri. People want the nerf Shuri. The Shuri's fine. It was just the combo that we saw with the Red Skull Taskmaster was pretty broken. These first 2 things aren't really that important. They are, but they aren't for the conversation we're having right now. Now they changed Mystique, where she only can copy the ongoing effect of the previous card if it's still in play. That's a big deal. So if it gets destroyed, you can't copy it. I remember this surprised me. I remember I destroyed it. This is way back when I first started. I remember I destroyed something with my ShangChi. Like, they're good. And then they play Taskmaster and they copy the card and destroy. I was like, wait, I wasn't expecting that. Now, looking back at that, this kind of makes sense with what I expect. Absorbman, same thing. It can only copy the previous on-reveal ability that you played if it's in play. So it still has to be in place. With your Spider-Man needs to still be around to copy the effect. Taskmaster, you kind of see where I'm going at here. On reveal, set this card's power equal to the last card you played if that card's in play. What this basically is a massive boost in ShangChi. Basically, it was really hard to counter this. You know, you ShangChi, the Red Skull, they could still copy the power. No longer is that the case. So now, this makes the turn 6 Taskmaster game possibly a little weak, but if you have initiative and you can copy that Red Skull before they destroy it, you're going to be Gucci. But that's where it's going to come in handy with ShangChi destroying you, giving you a window of opportunity to smash those nasty plays that Shuri Red Skull can put down. So this is truly where the nerf was, not so much the Red Skull, and they basically say that here. This adjustment is part balance, part matching expectations. A meaningful chunk of Taskmaster's strength and Shuri decks is his ability to copy a card's power, even if it's been destroyed by ShangChi or similar, and an interaction that someone often gets reported as a bug. And as I said, when I first started playing, I thought that wasn't working as intended. So as a casual player who maybe doesn't play that many matches, I do believe they're right on this point. That's what I expect when I first saw this interaction. Hopefully this change weakens Shuri deck slightly, and more cleanly matches players' intuition when they play these cards first time. So there's still gonna be ways to stop this. So yes, ShangChi got better. This might be great for Arrow, because what you can do with Arrow is you can pull the Red Skull out of a Cosmo, out of an armor, leaving it open for the possibility of being ShangChi. So this is where Arrow still might have some possibility of being useful. Again, not as great as before. All right, now these other things regards to Morbius, Null, they're not nerfs. They're just, I think they're just more, Null's getting a buff. Let's put it this way. There's no nerf here though. So with Morbius, the power no longer updates in hand or in deck, only at the location. So it's gonna be a 2-0 in your hand. You're not gonna see it, even though you've already discarded cards, but it's kind of easy to like know, all right, here's how much power they have. Basically, they're changing this up. So if you invert it with Mr. Negative, it's gonna be a 0-cost 2-power card in the hand. Before, when it was updating in deck, it would have a negative interaction with Mr. Negative. Get it? Yeah, okay, all right, let's keep moving on. They did something similar with Null, where the power still updates in hand, but no longer updates in deck. So slightly from Morbius. Morbius only updates on the field, not in the hand. Null's power no longer updates in deck, but it'll update inside of the hand and when in play. This is huge if you want to invert it. You know when you get peaked on what's this called? On Null, it feels good, right? Now, if you invert it in a Galactus deck, it's a 0-cost, 6-powered base starting power, and then it's only going to go up depending on how many cards are destroyed. So this is a huge buff for Null. Big buff for Galactus. Now you can maybe get inverted Galactus, inverted Null. Turn 6, you're playing a lot of great powered cards. 0-cost Null. I'm not going to complain about that, but that sounds pretty powerful. Here's what they said. The future improvements discussed above will also apply to Null, but until we make them, he will continue to function differently relative to Devil Dinosaur and others. The reason for this is that it's very important for Null players to be able to quickly and precisely calculate his power while making endgame decisions about their 6-cost cards. As a placeholder adjustment, Null will no longer update his power in your deck, so his functionality with Mr. Negative will be the same as his fellow ongoing cards. Notably, he'll use his potential power for effects like the peak location until we're able to make our desired improvements. That's the trade we're going to make. Yeah. So again, Morbius is easy to calculate. It's easy to track how many cards are to discard. You click on someone's profile, it shows you. All right. Null, it's a big calculation, and it's kind of tough to predict. So that's why they made that distinction here. And then Widow's Bite, getting a text change. While we consider updating, so here's what Widow Bite says. While this card is in your hand, you can't draw cards. So it's a little bit of a grammar change. It inaccurately described its in-game effect. While we consider updating the effect of Widow's Bite to only prevent drawing your own cards and effects like Cable from drawing your cards, we ultimately decided it was a better experience to just simplify the text and keep the current effect rather than these edge cases. Now you might be wondering, all right, cool. Nerfs. Some weird quasi buffs to Galactus and ShangChi and Null. Where is this Leech buff? It just blows my mind. They decided to do all this, but no change to the Leech. Again, all I was hoping for is just to make sure we don't get leeched on turn 3 or turn 4. I guess that's gonna kind of be, I mean, you can still get leeched turn 4, I suppose. I was hoping they were gonna change Leech so it only activates on turn 5 or something like that. Or yeah, something along there. I didn't want I fine, keep the card in, but there's ways to make it so you're not getting leeched early on. I guess the Quinjet change will help a little bit with that. But check this out right here. Cards that lose their ability due to Leech no longer get that ability back if they're pulled back in play by another card. So basically, if you had something leeched, you throw it down Lockjaw, and if you draw that card again, it's unleashed. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a bug, I suppose, thinking about the whole Taskmaster situation we had. But Leech just got even more powerful. So it's gonna be really hard to try to cleanse your leeched cards and get them in play again. Yeah, so Leech just got a little bit better. I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff makes sense. I get the Space Stone. Quinjet, I think they went overkill. Red Skull, I'm glad they didn't really nerf because they kind of buffed it. It's really just a Shuri Red Skull combo. And you can still protect yourself with Arrow, obviously, Cosmo, armor. Arrow's kind of a weird one. I think they went a little too heavy-handed. I think there's a way to make it still usable. Null got better. Galactus got better because of inversion. And Leech just got better too, I suppose. I don't know. We're going to pass the ball over to you guys. How you feeling about these? I gotta say, I don't know. It's a hard pill to swallow when they don't buff anything. I want to see some buffs. I get there was buffs between the lines as we described, but there's a lot of cards that would love to see some action, but they're still getting a little out. You know, just there's other cards to play instead. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to see that effect with Arrow kind of being less viable. We'll see other cards maybe take their place. Time will tell. But all I want to know from you guys is I want to see what you guys think down below. Leave that comment, subscribe. I don't know, maybe gently caress that like button. Don't smash it. Like buttons have feelings too. And always remember, until we meet again, that it's great to be in the Empire.